Hey everybody, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about the maiden flight of the Emmaselle 2 because I've gotten a lot of people reach out to me. But before we get into it, I want to kind of tell you a little bit about my YouTube channel. So my name is Dag, that's a nickname, and I've been flying radio control aircraft since the late 70s. And the last 15 years, my obsession has been what I call ginormous scale, which means it's more than 150-inch wingspan or more. And the intent of my channel here is to share with you only the experiences that I've had. I get frustrated when I look at YouTube and people give advice and I can tell they've never done that before. And it can lead you in the wrong direction, which can cost you money and actually cause you failures with model aircraft. So if you're going to watch my channel, pretty much all I'm going to ever share with you is my experiences, both successful and failures, so that you can learn and hopefully have a great time in RC. So before I get too far with this, I want to do a shout out to my sponsor, RTL Fasteners. If you need bolts, nuts, blind nuts, nylocks, oh gosh, Allen head, Phillip head, whatever type of fastener you need for model aircraft, they're most likely going to have it. Go to rtlfasteners.com. If you buy more than $50 a product, use code DA30. You'll get 30% off your order. Okay? So this is the Emmaselle 2, if you aren't familiar with it and you're brand new to my channel. It was a concept I came up with in my head of a 1930-ish air racer. It has a two-row fake radial in the front that I 3D printed. It's actually electric. It's got a Hacker A100. Pulls about 6,000 watts, which is about 8.05 horsepower, something like that. Turns a 3210 propeller by Vess. And it's just the best flying airplane I've ever had. But I get a lot of people reaching out to me all the time saying, hey, can you post a video about the maiden flight? And one reason I've never done that is because there just isn't a lot of video of it. A friend of mine, Eamon Kelly, who's one of the best drone pilots I know, does a lot of the aerial droned airplane video that I'll show you a little bit of at the end of this. But kind of a situation happened that I'm not proud of is that I was really busy the year I was trying to get this finished. And what I mean by finished is the airplane was originally built with some really turd design wings, and it went into storage for a couple of years because I was frustrated with it. I pulled it out and I designed these wings, but I recovered the whole aircraft. And I was running out of time for when CEF started because my job got really busy. So I actually finished this airplane at CEF, which breaks one of my biggest rules. I don't want to be at a fly-in trying to finish an airplane, especially under the AMA. This is considered an LMA, large model aircraft, part of their large model program, which means it's over 55 pounds and I have to have it certified and signed off to fly. And I've done videos on that before, the over 55 pounds. So go just search my videos for over 55 pound and you'll find it. But this airplane looked nothing like it looks like in that picture. Now, if you went to CEF this year, you got to meet Olive, my robot pilot baby, which was really weird and quite disturbing as she was automated and her head moved and people thought I flew a real baby. Yes, this is the same plane. This is the Emmaselle 2, the beginning of this year, when I went through a complete annual in the airframe. Every spring I go through and take the whole airplane basically apart, put it back together to make sure nothing's coming apart. It's something I do religiously on these large models. It weighs 61 pounds and it's not just a small little 40 size airplane. So when we, what I want to do now is basically talk briefly about that day that I test flew it, and then I'm going to show you some video here, and it's kind of, well, I'm actually going to go ahead and start the video. So the video here is kind of like home movie. So I just took a bunch of video I had. This is me finishing the airplane. This is 3 weeks before CEF. I was covering it. Took 3 30-foot rolls of Monocoat, about $265 in Monocoat. And the plane that you just saw was yellow and blue. Well, in these pictures, it was yellow. This is before I ever finished the finishing on the airplane. So, and some of this video here is kind of cool. Some of it's shaky, but this is kind of like home movie type stuff. But and Eamon Kelly, my friend, did all of this video here. But I was extremely nervous because when I went to test fly this airplane, I had spent 3 days at CEF. It had rained, it was cold, my feet were sopping wet. It was just a miserable first 3 or 4 days at CEF, but then it turned sunny and it was great. But here you can see I don't even have the wingtips done on the airplane. Okay, but you don't need wingtips, you know, to fly an airplane. We called it the yellow banana this whole first year I flew it. But the thing that was a concern of mine is that everybody was talking to me. Everybody was just asking questions, which I normally love to happen. But here's the test flight. And as you can see, it lifted right into the air. And I normally don't let haters and people get to me. But there were so many people that told me that my watts per pound were too low on this airplane, that this plane just wouldn't fly. And I knew in my heart it would. I knew I'd done all the math. I knew everything about the plane would fly. And it did. It flew beautiful. On the right here is my friend Berger de la Pena. He was my spotter, and he helped me with some trims until I figured out what was going on with the airplane. This is not the greatest video, folks, but this is the videos of the maiden flight of the plane, which has 140 flights on it now. And I'd get about an 8-minute flight out of the plane without any problem at all. And it worked great. But here's afterwards. I'm trying to open it up and unplug the batteries because I hate to leave the batteries plugged in when I'm, you know, when the engine, it's a 6,000 watt power plant. Okay, I don't like people around that prop. Even though I've got a kill switch on my radio, I want to unplug those batteries first thing when I land. So that's what's going on here. But I got to tell you, I felt like Charles Lindbergh had just landed in Paris. I very rarely get that excited when a plane flew, and this plane flew so perfect that I was ecstatic. I mean, I honestly, it was like one of the greatest accomplishments I'd ever done in model aviation. Now, what's kind of sad in this frame is that behind me is John Morgan, one of my really good friends, one of the greatest builders in the world. He passed away a year or so back, but he was there. Basically, all of my best of friends, if that makes sense, are people that go to CEF. I mean, that guy there is Berger. He's one of my best friends. Smartest guy in the world when it comes to controls. He builds all my microcontrollers for me. Just a massive brain trust. The guy standing behind me is a top secret guy that I'm not allowed to use his name, but he's absolutely one of the coolest guys I know. One of the top 10 coolest people. And have no idea who the guy on the left is, but this is like watching a home video right now that I put all this stuff together. And he's got the Quad Monsters shirt on back there. If you don't know Quad Monsters, they're really neat drones. Go look at them. But I was just higher than a kite that this plane had flown so good. And we ended up getting, I had to do 2 more test flights for the AMA waiver. So the people who run CEF were so cool and wanted to see this fly that they actually suspended the show for about 30 minutes for me to do these flights, get it out of the way. And then my plane was legal. I had my documentation and everything was good to go. I did have 3 complete flight packs ready to fly. And right here, I'm just trying to come down from being at 10,000 feet mentally because when you scratch build something from nothing, well, I shouldn't say scratch build, because most times scratch build is building from someone else's plans. And there's John Morgan giving me a handshake. Man, that was the greatest builder in the world, guys. He is, he did the Brewster Buffalo I designed the landing gears for. I've got one of his a pea shooter, I think it's called, or not pea shooter. Oh, I can't remember what jet it was. Early jet, one of our very first fighter jets. Can't remember the name of it. He was just a master builder. And, it meant the world to me that he thought my plane was cool. So, and there's a lot of people there looking at this airplane thinking, is this big monstrosity going to fly on an electric motor? And CEF is an electric fly-in, everybody. You can't go there with anything but an electric. But I was just high as a kite. You can tell this is just like a freaking home movie here. And I probably should have edited this better, but I wanted to give you the raw sense of CEF and just how cool this was. this was about 10:30 in the morning, if I remember right. And this was a Ceph that it was cold. I went down there with shorts, and I had to go to Walmart to buy me some long pants because it was down to 50 each night and only got up to 70 and rained for a couple of days. But then the sun came out and everything was perfect. But no, it was, but you know, I showed up to the Ceph on a Friday, got my tent set up, got my trailer set up, and I had to finish putting all the servos in this. I had to finish putting the receiver in this. I had to finish hooking up the telemetry for the S-Bus. I had to finish mounting the ESC, and I needed to, I think that's it. It was basically just the radio and the ESC that I had to get, you know, put in there and get it right so I could fly the plane. But honestly, that kind of broke one of my biggest rules, is you never finish an airplane on a fly-in, because somebody could be talking to you and you could forget a bolt. Somebody could be talking to you and you forget you're putting a battery that's not charged in the airplane with, because this is 10S2P. If you put one battery that's not charged with 3 batteries that are charged, you'll destroy a battery. Not to mention you could crash the airplane. So I kind of broke one of my rules, but this is me rolling it back to my hangar. And I tell you, folks, there's no feeling hardly better in life, at least in model aviation. I shouldn't say in life. In model aviation, than building something like this from your head. A lot of scratch building is done from plans, but I do my own plans and my own design. My plane was a little depressed. I didn't have a pilot in it, so I was trying to get a pilot's head mounted in it. That was a 3D printed head I did that was going to go in it. And I just couldn't figure out how high the windshield and all that was going to be yet. There might be some video. I'm trying to remember. I think there's video of me actually working on the windshield here, and it was a turd windshield. It's not the windshield that's on it now. The windshield on it now looks pretty good. The one that I put on for a Ceph looked really stupid. But it was a big yellow banana. I mean, this plane had no pinstripes, had no paint. It was the big yellow banana. Didn't even have wheel pants on it yet. Didn't have any of the fairings on the landing gear. Yeah, this is my trailer with all my garbage in it, including my microwave. But this is the windshield I was trying to build. And that just looks like crap, doesn't it? That's a horrible windshield. But it needed... I hate flying airplanes without a pilot in it. I mean, a fake pilot. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So here's some drone footage, which is actually pretty kick-ass. So this is my friend Eamon Kelly, and he takes off and chases the airplane. And we have an absolute blast doing this. Now, this was my 5th or 6th flight. I flew this plane 20 times. No, that's not right. I flew this thing 33 times at that first Ceph. That's right. So he's just staying back a little bit. And I'm like, dude, I don't care if you fly into me. You got a little drone. You're not going to hurt me. And actually, he almost does have a midair. He does crash his drone in the second video here, trying to fly underneath me when I'm doing a touch and go. And as you can see, the pattern's full there. So, you know, everybody, if you've never been to Ceph, you got to go to Ceph. We have like 200 pilots, 1,000 airplanes, and rarely do we have a midair. It's normally because we've got, oh, that was me doing a wing over, or a hammerhead. I'm sorry, that was a hammerhead. And yeah, I mean, Ceph is just so much fun, everybody. You can tell that this is a sunny day. The test flight day was an old cloudy, dreary day. That was him going underneath my plane. And I tell him, we're standing side by side, I tell him I'm getting ready to turn left and all of this because he needs to know what my intentions are when we're flying. And but he was really scared to get too close because this is a brand new plane. I said, dude, you're not going to crash me. And that's me doing a loop with it. And basically I do loops and hammerheads with this airplane. I don't really like to roll it because it takes there's a lot of adverse yaw on those ailerons. It takes a lot of rudder to get a roll to work good. And I've never spun it yet, but next year when I go to, well, in 2 years when I go to get it certified again with the AMA, I'm going to do some spin testing with it and make sure I can spin the plane and then get it wavered for this doing spins. And this is me coming by. I think this is one of my little touch and goes. I love to do one wheel touch and goes with my giant airplanes. And nope, this is just a flyby. But we just have so much fun doing this. I mean, just about every time I get ready to go flying, Actually, he'd get depressed. He'd see me taking off. Goes, dude, you didn't tell me you're flying. I'm not ready. And I would just say, go ahead and get ready. And sometimes he tells me I'm getting really close to the trees because see, he's flying this drone FPV with a GoPro on it. So the GoPro's getting the good video here, but he's flying the drone FPV. That's how he can fly so close to me. And we did have our first midair. I think it was this year at CEF, and it wasn't bad. The GoPro just hit the bottom of my horizontal stabilizer, and it didn't even crash him. We just heard the RPMs change in his drone then when we watched the video. So this might be one of my, nope, I thought that was going to be one of my, yeah, see how close he gets there? Isn't that kick-ass? And he's like, I'm sorry, man. I'm like, dude, I don't care. If you hit it, it's just going to maybe rip the Monocoat. I mean, this thing's well, this was 60 pounds this year. Now it's a 61-pound airplane because I took some stuff out of it to make it lighter, but then I painted it. I painted it with Krylon. You can take 60 grit sandpaper, wet sand where you want the paint to go, mask it off, clean the Monocoat with denatured alcohol, and then put on your Krylon paint, either can or from a gun, and it sticks really good to this stuff. And that was me landing. Look how slow that thing lands. I love this airplane. And then there's him doing orbits around the plane as I taxi back in. Yeah, this was a lot of fun this year, everybody. I mean, keep in mind, it took 2.5, 3 years to build the airplane. Then it sat for 2 years because of the crappy wings I designed on 1.0 wing design. And then, and here's the second flight. Well, the second flight with him chasing it with a drone. Actually, we had probably 15 flights, but I just wanted to give you a couple of cool ones. And yeah, he told me to get going down the runway, and then he'd try to catch me going down the runway. Man, I remember this like it was yesterday. And we had so much fun. He would say to me, man, you're getting close to those trees. And I'm like, I have a line of sight. As long as I don't see a tree in between me and my airplane, I'm doing fine. Actually, if you look around, you can see a different drone too. I remember this year we had 2 drones chasing me all the time. And this is where he perfected the flying backwards underneath me. And you've probably seen him do that before with some future flights. But he gets up almost into my propeller, and man, my prop would chew the crap out of his little drone. But this is the flight where he crashes. He actually flies into the ground because I got really low and kind of pinched him into the ground. It didn't hurt his drone at all. But this is the best flying plane I've designed. Okay, my best flying plane ever is my Flex Cessna 170 by Flex Innovations. But from one of my own designs, this is the best flying airplane I've ever designed. I've designed quite a few. See the other drone there on the right-hand side? So this is him getting back up underneath it again. See, it's just so cool what we do. I'm always nervous he's going to hit me and then his drone will go in the lake and sink. And there's the other drone you can see. So, I mean, this is just so much fun, everybody. This might be where he crashes right here. Because he gets right up underneath me, tucks up underneath me where I'm flying really low. Yeah, I think this is where he crashes. Right here, yep. And then I play this in slow-mo for you. So there's my one-wheel touch and go. He comes up underneath. He thinks he's going to hit me. So he drops a little bit. And then catches it. I love how you can see my plane flying away as he does cartwheels. I just love it. So, okay. So that is it, folks. But yeah, that's the maiden of the Emmaselle too. You know, it's really hard, and it's hard to describe how cool model aviation really is. You know, when I think about when I took on this project, I wanted to build the absolute lightest airframe I ever had, and I accomplished that. I've done other videos about the Emmaselle too, but the fuselage is basically 95% balsa wood, a little bit of plywood for hard points, quite a bit of carbon fiber toe, which is like the string that reinforces balsa wood, or I use it as a laminate to reinforce balsa wood. And I did the Monocoat because all the testing I did where I took 1 square foot of balsa wood and I would put down 3/4 ounce glass cloth and I would put resin on it. Actually, the thicker the resin, the lighter it ended up if you squeeged away all the resin you didn't need and used a paper towel. And that blew my mind away at first because I thought, you know, if the resin's not thin, it'd be heavier, and it's backwards. So this is what I tested. I took the West System epoxy and I thinned it by 25% denatured alcohol and rolled it on, squeegeed it off, paper toweled it off, let it cure. Then I thinned it 50% with denatured alcohol, the West System, and then I didn't thin it at all. And believe it or not thinning it at all was the lightest. And this is what I figured out. When I would flip the balsa wood over and take an X-Acto knife and start picking at the balsa wood, the thin down epoxy had wicked all the way into the balsa wood like a sponge. So the thinner the mixture of epoxy was, the more the wood absorbed it and become heavier. But still, putting Monocoat on that piece of balsa wood is half the weight than even the lightest glass job I could perfect. That's the reason I monocoated this airplane. When you think about the sheer size of this airplane and glassing it, I was afraid I was going to add a couple of pounds. More than that, like 3 or 4 pounds. And when you take the Monocoat backing off it, and you take the roll that it comes on and throws it away, and add up all of this, it was about 60% of what glassing would have been in weight-wise, at least from my calculations, and they could be all wonky and wrong. I'm just sharing you my personal data. So, well, that's this video, everybody. So that's the Maiden of the Emmaselle 2 that everybody's asked for. I wish there was more video. I think there was more video, and I can't find it on any of my drives because I think there's a video of me landing it, or somebody sent me the video, and I can't find it anywhere because right after I land, they keep the airplane, the camera on the airplane, and you can hear me yell pretty loud, "Yeah!" And that was once it was on the ground and I realized the flight was over. I was so excited. I yelled, "Yeah," really loud. And because, you know, you got to understand the amount of time that goes into building a 188-inch wing airplane is phenomenal. And I do it in the evening, late at night when the family's asleep. I normally start about 10 o'clock at night and try to finish by midnight. And then on Sunday afternoon, sometimes I'll sleep for 4 hours to try to catch up on my sleep deprivation. So look, everybody, thanks for watching my YouTube. Thanks for watching this long. If you're still around, you must like what I'm trying to peddle here. You know, I always end my videos with a little bit of an editorial about getting kids into model aviation. Please, if you're parking your kid in front of a video game where they're murdering everybody in the street with a 68 Camaro, it's probably not the best way for them to be a functioning part of society one day. By getting them into model aviation, even if it's just little Gillows gliders or rubber powered gliders, if you can't afford a Gillows glider, email me. I'll send you 2 or 3 for your kids. I'm dead serious. I'm trying to get some friends together that we can just give away these gliders to people to get kids into model aviation. If I won the lottery, I'd go to every elementary school in the United States and dump 100 Gillows gliders in their parking lots for them. Because the cool thing about model aviation is it teaches you all kinds of science, physics. Once you learn to pilot an airplane yourself and you are the pilot of it, it is extremely rewarding for a kid. I've taught about 101 people how to fly model aircraft, and I've taught about 25 people under 20. I think the youngest was 10 or 11. But once they master it, I think they become better people, because they have to know patience. They have to know commitment to stay with it. It slows your brain down. And today there's just so much hyperness. I think model aviation is the cure for that. Another thing of recent, though, that model aviation is also going to teach them is people skills. Because we have dickheads and Karens in model aviation now that want to put down people who fly FPV or fly drones or fly the quads or fly whatever. And I remember, I've been in this long enough that people hated helicopters and gliders. So there's always going to be haters. Hopefully people come up with radio control Hindenburgs that are 20 feet long that are full of real hydrogen so everybody can hate those and quit hating FPV and quads. We've got to get kids involved in model aviation. If we don't, it may be the end of the world as we know it. I mean, pretty soon there'll be dinosaurs walking the earth again. So rock on, everybody. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to build this YouTube big enough that it will pay for my hobby. And please share my videos, because I've always had people who go, I have no idea you had this channel. And I think I've only been doing it since 2006. So be cool, stay safe, and rock on. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.